All right, everybody, welcome to episode 168 of the Followtonians, brought to you by Abscess Services Limited. It's Eric here in Overland Park, Kansas, Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool. How's it going, Ped? You never thought I'd ask you, did you? Are you happy? You doing okay?
I'm okay, Eric. I'm okay. Um, it's hard to get used to being not awake because I'm obviously always awake at this stupid time of the day. But getting back into this. But I'm
There's
happy.
good
I'm
reason. There's
happy to
slightly
be
good
here.
reason to be putting a show out today.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be here, Eric. Happy to be here.
I'm glad to see your smiling face.
This show is like a month early, isn't it? Literally, it's like a month early. It's like it is now for me. Small hours of the 31st of of
Of the
um
wrong month.
of July, and really it feels like I'm a month ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, last year we did the deadline day show, and it was a big hit. A lot of stuff going on. It was highs, lows, highs, some lows, and then all of a sudden, lots of big news right at the end, and we were here to bring that all to everybody that cared to tune in, and we'll do that again. Probably probably won't have anything to talk about because it looks
We'll
as
just
though
we'll just sit
Roberto's
here really
doing
smug.
his, huh?
We'll just sit here really smug.
Yeah, that or by that time I'll probably have a new shirt with a certain number and name on the back of it, and I'll be happy. I mean,
Everyone's
last year we bought in some Wigan players early about this
this
time
this
this time
this
last year.
feels weird, doesn't it? This feels slightly different, slightly weird.
Right, we're not signing Alcaraz and Kone and
This
Robles.
this time last year we were being referred to as Everlone and
No,
Everton
no, not
Athletic.
yet, not yet. We
No,
hadn't
no, not
loaned
yet, not
anybody
yet,
in yet.
not yet. But
No, this time last year it was like Wigan Southwest.
Everton Athletic. Yeah.
Yeah, Everton Athletic and all
Wow.
that.
What a real difference a year makes. What a huge difference a year can make in football in expectations and not only expectations but just I don't know.
Ambitions.
Yeah, ambition is probably the right word rather than expectations. The ambitions of the manager and the ambitions of the board and on the ambitions of the fans and the real idea that you can go out there and you can put
Work within the system.
you
You
can
can
you
you
can
can build a squad.
but you can give yourself a really high bar and go for it and not fall underneath it. And then not no stage that you give up on it and sort of even if time passes and people are frustrated and there's worry and demand from fans, but there's a very singular thought come from Roberto Martinez that he had an idea of what he was going to do and he went out and done it and we're obviously going to talk about what's happened, but there was a smugness in the face of Roberto Martinez at the press conference that showed that he had gone after this player. He had literally wooed this player to the point where he was getting some on the first date. That's all I can say. He just went for it and he got it.
Yeah. So one time, can I get you to say the name of the newest permanent Everton player?
Romelu Lukaku.
Sounds pretty good.
There you
He's the
go.
new number 10, everybody. Uh, and it just seems right. The press conference today earlier was just, well, other than it being an hour and 40, 50 minutes late, but it was just it's just amazing the tone and the vocabulary and just the words used by the player and the manager at this press conference, the confidence level, the drive, the ambition that we mentioned, that word ambition, I think it's definitely going to be a word that Evertonians can use a lot this year. It, it's just there's so much pride put back in the shirt of Everton with the news that has happened over the past week.
I think, let's just stick to Romelu Lukaku for now. But there's been a lot of rumours surrounding Romelu Lukaku since the end of the season, whether he was going to stay. I think at the end of the season, people were hopeful more in a sort of in the old-fashioned kind of way of being hopeful. Or we took him to his heart. He played fantastic. The manager loves him. When he scored against Arsenal and the hugs on the touchline, and there was that sort of like romanticism of football, and that's what we were sort of relying on. And we live in an era where that romanticism doesn't really mean much anymore. Unfortunately, he did say, like, if we get into the Champions League, I'll look at staying. But we didn't get in the Champions League, so suddenly you're starting to think, is it are Everton big enough to match what this kid wants? And then there was drips and drabs. When I spoke to Roberto Martinez at the interview, he basically said he was the number one target. He basically said that. And when we pushed him on it and said, are you willing to go for it and willing to spend big? He said yes. And I believed everything he said that day, because I believed everything that he said every time I've had the
Since day
pleasure.
one, yeah.
Yeah, since I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and since everything he said in press conferences, I've believed everything he says. He's a very, very honest man. A lot of the things he says don't necessarily strike a chord with us, because we're used to the harsh realities, and he talks in a way that is is very sort of, he gets the romantic side of football, but he's also got the drive to get there. He doesn't do things by halves. So
Right.
there was a feeling that he would go after him. Now, whether that would be achievable, we didn't know. Obviously, the money was getting talked about was big, and that basically put off a lot of Evertonians. It can't be done. It won't be done. It's a smokescreen. Now, there was a few people out there, and I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people who I can listen to and I trust, and they tell me things, and they continually told me that financially we were in a position to go after the player. We had spoke to Chelsea. We knew what their demands were, and we were willing to match their demands to a certain degree. There was always going to be a certain bit of negotiation involved. Now, it was all down to the player. Obviously, he had a World Cup. He had a big World Cup. A lot of people were hoping that he had a very poor World Cup. In the real world, he did have a poor World Cup. It helped us. I think the World Cup wasn't great. It was very obvious after the World Cup that Roberto Martinez was continuing to go for this. It's been quite quiet, let's be honest. Now, a lot of people were very frustrated at that, but I think a lot of people understood that Roberto Martinez knew that Lukaku was the number one guy, and he was going to go for him, because there was no point going out and spending a couple of million, 3 or 4 million, 5, 6 million on a player and then losing the opportunity to get Lukaku. He knew that today, the 30th of July, was the day that he was coming back from his holiday
break, yeah.
and anything would be done today, which it has been very effectively. Very much like when he came back from America, Gareth Barry was signed up on that day as well. So he knew all about that, and it's been incredible how it's been wrapped up on that day. And Roberto Martinez went after him, obviously pushed the board. Obviously, he'd had assurances, and because obviously Roberto Martinez has signed his own contract this summer, 5 years, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. It's just been done so well, and probably to people on the outside, it's been very, very frustrating. But Roberto Martinez, you can tell, has known all along. You can tell he's known all along. We've seen in the last few weeks that's something I'd never ever see Everton do. There's been an ambition. There's been Roberto
There's
Martinez
that
has
word again.
talked. Roberto Martinez has talked about Lukaku. Players have talked about Lukaku. We had Everton's head of recruitment, Ian Atkins, talking on a national radio station in the UK, basically saying, "I know for a fact Romelu Lukaku wants to come and sign for Everton. He wants it. We want him. We will do the deal if we can." These things are unprecedented in the last few years. This is like sticking out your chest like we did in the 80s and saying, we're going to go for someone, we're going to get them, and that's the end of it. And you're talking about buying a player from Chelsea, who's been wanted by the likes of Atletico Madrid, Wolfsburg, Juventus. There was talk of Real Madrid. There's been talk of other players, but it seems like
Right.
them teams have fallen away simply because they couldn't match what Everton were willing to offer. And I think the main thing that Everton were willing to offer was this bond between manager and player. This coach who Roberto Martinez has been there, and Lukaku has openly admitted that no manager's ever got as much out of him as he did with him. So all these things fall into place, and all you can do is praise the club, praise the board, praise the manager for going out there and relentlessly going after this player, and not holding back and not being afraid. Even if things had fell down, I like to think that Roberto Martinez would have said, you know what, he was our number one target, and we were prepared to do anything to get him. Um, there's no problem with that. We tried, we may have failed, but they didn't fail. Through what they did, they didn't
Right.
fail,
Yeah.
and that's incredible. That
Well,
fills you with so much hope.
yeah, absolutely. Let's get into some of the factors and the contributing factors of how that that transfer came about. And I think probably first and foremost, the Belgian teammates of Lukaku's, the Moraleses out there, and probably even Fellaini could have helped get him to Everton. I would imagine that Fellaini's experience at Everton compared to his last season not at Everton um, could have helped Everton's case for why Lukaku should come to the blue side of Mersey. And I mean, that's just the one factor. Him spending a lot of time at the World Cup with those two. Uh, then there's reports, a story on the official site about how uh, Jags was in contact and other players were in constant contact with Lukaku and pretty much just recruiting them from a personality standpoint, just saying, hey man, yeah, you need to come back.
If all rumours are to be believed on Merseyside, there was a lot of to and fro between the player, the manager, other players like Ross Barkley, players that he had close to him.
Yeah,
As I mentioned before, I don't think Romelu Lukaku's ever had a year like he did at Everton last season. He was completely loved by everybody. The manager obviously loves him to to death. He just seems like once he gets a grip, he just it's too much. We've seen with other things like Baines and we'll talk about Barkley later. When this man gets a grasp and latches onto you, it's very hard to get away. But it's not only that; it's the fact that he's such a good coach and such a
yeah,
good communicator and such a man manager. I think people want to be around that. And as you mentioned, maybe Lukaku learned from other people because Lukaku strikes me as a quite intelligent, young man. For a 21-year-old, he speaks really well.
yeah.
He's got.
There's reports that he watches every minute of every match of the Premier League throughout the season. That he's like an absolute student of the game. That he gets it and he has the drive to want to get better.
I think I'm just trying to talk about all the positives. I don't want to talk about any negatives because I don't think there's many. But I think what you've seen is a player who understands that maybe taking that one step backwards is going to push him forward 5 or 6 steps. He's going to become such a better footballer playing under Roberto Martinez. And I think I think there's a coldness about Chelsea and there's a coldness about Jose Mourinho. I think you really have to do something to sort of be loved by him. But I don't think that applies to Roberto Martinez. I think there's just a warmth about Roberto Martinez that if he sees something in you, and even if he doesn't see something in you, he wants to try and make the best of you, no matter what it is, no matter whether you're a player or a coach or the tea lady, no matter what it is. That's what he strikes me as. Having the pleasure of meeting him. I think Romelu Lukaku's thought. I'm 21. If I can go to somewhere where I love, take that on. I can just basically learn how to become a better footballer, and from that, who knows? Because he is only 21. You know, we
Yeah,
we
which
haven't
is just an amazing
we haven't we haven't
in
signed
itself.
someone
Yeah.
for 10 years. We haven't signed someone for 10 years. We we've signed someone who is very much at the early part of his career, and you know let's just take it from there. But it's fantastic news, and um, it can only inspire more things. I think happen at Everton. It only can inspire more, and 28 million is a lot of money, but
Yep.
Everton have made a lot of money in the last year, so to
Yep.
channel it
That.
back into some.
Yeah, selling Flaney, selling Rodwell, Arteta. Um, yeah, definitely. I, so the relationship with Martinez is there. How big do you think having Duncan Ferguson on the staff and there to work with him every day would factored in?
Um, from Lukaku's point of view, I mean, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean,
Right.
that's the top and bottom of it because I don't know what their relationship is, but I'm sure there's a lot of little tiny factors. I mean, friendships like Kevin Mirallas, people like Ross Barkley. There's a lot of people. I mean, you look at that Everton squad now and you think Ross Barkley, Lukaku, John Stones, James
Oviedo.
McCarthy. A lot of people in their early 20s, and that
Yeah,
must create
Coleman.
such a good
Yep.
bond of players. Um, and then the older players seem quite sort of um, fun as well, sort of fun, nice people, and they've just got that spirit about the club. And as I mentioned, Chelsea seems like a very hard place, and I just think this move just suited them down to the ground because he's seen what he did last season and probably thinks, well, this season we'll play in the Europa League and I'll be playing every game and I'll be the main player. Whereas Jose Mourinho's come out and said he wasn't prepared to fight for his place. No, I don't know about that. Maybe he just thinks that door was completely blocked, and Mourinho's using that as an excuse because that's what he has to do to save face. I just think Lukaku just thinks he'll be the number one player, and he's got the best coach, and he's at the best place, and at the end of the day, he just obviously really really enjoyed playing for Everton last season, and the opportunity to come back was just too much to say no. It's as simple as that. I'm sure there's little sort of regrets I'm sure he'll have because time for Chelsea is a very young player, wanted to succeed at that club. It hasn't quite happened, but at the end of the day, life's for enjoying and life's for getting better and embracing what you've got. And I think that's just what he's doing. Um, so from that point of view, I think they're the factors that probably would have got him to Everton. But going back to what we were saying before, it's just been crazy the whirlwind of how this has happened. I mean, as I say, there's been a lot of rumours in the last month or so. A lot of normal transfer rumours. So and so told me. This kid told me. This person told me.
Oh, I
Some
downloaded this iPhone app to track planes.
well, that is the best thing ever. Well, I'll come to that in a minute, but just like Ross Barkley showed me his phone with a text message from Lukaku, and the thing is, these things are all starting to fall into place that they might actually be true. That's the funniest thing. We've seen Twitter accounts adamant that he was signing. We've seen a lot of people 100% adamant that he was signing. So you think that
Plus,
that's
plus our sources that you trust and people that we
yeah, of
know. And
course. Of course, I
And
mean, as we said earlier, we I've known since May that this was 100% achievable. I didn't know whether it was going to happen or not because football, that's football for you. But I knew it was 100% achievable. I knew the money was on the table for a start. That's always the biggest problem with Everton. But going back to what you talking about there, just from that. I mean, the last couple of days we've had different things that have happened to Everton, which we'll come on to in a minute. But just from that initial tweet this morning from Lukaku, you know, next chapter sort of thing, that was literally the thing that just started the ball rolling today, and
right.
pulse is racing, and
But how smart is one, Twitter, and two, the Everton fan base?
it's just nuts, isn't it? It's a community amongst upon itself, and from that tweet today, everyone was like, "Well, where's he going? Where's he been? Is he just flying into London to go to Chelsea's ground?" And then I actually did mention that scan app, the Sky Scanner app, and the next minute, a guy's tweeting me pictures of a private plane coming out of Belgium headed towards Liverpool. Now, I don't know whether that was a coincidence. I don't know whether that was his jet, but that is
Looks
just
pretty
mad.
convincing. That
It,
LJ-45 flying through the air looked
I would,
pretty freaking convincing.
I would love to know if that was the flight, because if that was the flight, that is just
That's
pure
pretty
genius.
scary.
That would be amazing. If that actually turned out to be the flight. There can't be too many private jets flying out of Belgium today heading towards Liverpool. That would be absolutely amazing if that turned out to be true. But it was amazing, the snowball effect. Within a couple of hours, we're getting basically confirmation that he's signing. Um,
And you would like to think that Everton would have liked to have left it a little bit later to announce the press conference, to make sure that everything was wrapped up first, and then announce it, and then have time to sort it. But this fan swarm informational fact gathering like machine that's out there because of social media
yeah.
and social networking, it's almost impossible to get anything pushed through without it getting out there for people to read between the lines, or figure out the matrix before it happens.
I, I don't know whether it was just that. I mean, it was a 7 o'clock press conference now, which got called.
Yeah.
Which they think they. I don't know if they took a chance. I was at Finch Farm till after 6 o'clock, and Lukaku still wasn't at Finch Farm. I'd heard whispers. I knew I'd spoken to people from Sky, and they, basically confirmed. I'd had to confirm that players and ex-players had already done pieces for the Everton website, to go up literally when it was announced.
Right.
Little things like that need to be done, which, don't get me wrong, can be, easily put in the trash can of any PC. We do it ourselves. I mean, I've had things ready before ahead of time, and all you need to do is
Nah.
press trash, and they're gone, and no one knows about them.
Or post, and then you're a hero, and
Exactly,
pile
and
on.
these things happen. Little things like message getting the number 17, and basically people saying Lukaku was getting the number 10. A lot of things were put in place ahead of time that if this deal went through, it would be very smooth at the end of it. The other thing, I think, talking about 7 o'clock, there's expectation, there's catching the media, so you make the next day's back pages as well. You want it so it's sort of like tea time news in the UK and Europe.
Yeah.
So it's on there. It's in prime time. It's dominating. It's going to be the number one story. All these things. I mean, don't forget, Everton are trying to build the brand as well. They want to be back page. They want to be on Sky Sports News.
They just want to be relevant.
Exactly. People talk about, like, well, why is so and so on the back pages of the newspapers? Why is so and so always on the radio? Because those teams are creating their own news. They're making things happen, and that's what Everton have done today. They didn't come out and say, we've signed Lukaku. The transfer, the press conference will be at 7 o'clock. There's a press conference at 7 o'clock.
You need to be there.
You need to be there. We're streaming it live. They took a chance. Okay, it ended up being a good hour and a half late, but at the end of the day, the expectation was so high that no one was sitting there. Well, let's be honest, everyone was frustrated, and then doubts started drifting to your mind. Oh, what's happened? But it was a case of, I don't know whether it was a case of getting a couple of things sorted with Lukaku, or there was rumours that another deal was getting done and maybe hasn't been finalised yet, and that was holding it up. But it got sorted. He came out. It was all smiles. He couldn't hide his happiness. Roberto Martinez couldn't hide his happiness. Standing there with the number 10 jersey. And everything just fell into place. And what more can you ask for, really?
Any possibility that they were trying to get him the number 9 shirt and Kone just wouldn't give it up, or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it would have been great if he'd had the number 9 shirt. I mean, I don't think there would have been too many people rushing back to the Everton stores asking for a Kone refund. So, I suppose Roberto Martinez would be looking at that and thinking, well, I give Kone the number 9 shirt. It wouldn't, I don't know. I don't know where them things come into it. I mean, I'm sure that would to the players to sort of say, do you want this shirt? But I think that's by the by,
I wonder what De La Feu thinks.
I don't care. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? He's chosen his bed to lie in.
Is it kind of like the magic spray question?
It doesn't really, it doesn't really matter, does it? At the end of the day, there's a number 10 shirt there.
I have no care for that.
Yeah, the easiest thing would have been to say, well, the number 17 shirt, give it back to Lukaku. But again, it's about making a statement. It's about saying, no, this guy is, our number 1 forward. We're giving him, okay, it's not the number. Number 9 is the number, but
Right.
There you go. But again, as we're talking about Lukaku, it's about making statements, to the media, about making statements to the world. It's about saying to all those people last season who said, well, you've got these players on loan. Well, Gareth Barry, day 1, back from is signed up. Lukaku, number 2. And do you know what? You just mentioned De La Feu, right?
Right.
It would not surprise me if De La Feu came back towards, the end of August. It really wouldn't surprise me because that guy's not.
Yeah, I mean he went back. His loan was over. Barcelona was facing a possible transfer window ban, and so he's training with the club that owns him.
Yeah, I don't even think he's got a squad number yet. But I mean, this is not, and I haven't heard anything. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if he came back. That's all. It just wouldn't surprise me. But as I say, we have told all those people who said we were only good because we were getting loan players, and some journalists made fools of themselves tweeting things last season, saying, "Oh, you're only good because you've got loan deals," and those tweets have come back to haunt them tonight. Rightly so, because Roberto Martinez had a policy where he was going to bring these players in on loan, and then he was going to go and try and get them, and that's what he's done with 2 of the 3 players, and hopefully now. This now will almost kickstart maybe in the transfer window, because he wasn't willing to do anything really before Lukaku was brought in or wasn't brought in. So now maybe we'll start seeing a couple of the players come in, whether they be loans or players that fit in with a new transfer kitty. I'm not sure, but I do think now we can go away and say, right, I still need 3 players or 4 players. Because really, in essence, we are where we were last season. We've got Barry back in, we've got Lukaku back in, they're permanent signings.
Yeah.
We've lost one, we've got one back in, and the rest of the squad is what it was. So we do still need more players. That's evident. Numbers-wise, we're pretty much where we were. We need another 3 or 4, but now he's got like another month to bring those players in, but he wanted a centre forward. He wanted his number 1 target to be in, and he's brought him in. So that's out the way. Now he can go away and look for those other targets that he wanted to bring in.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier to know what your needs are whenever you've shored up one of your biggest needs early. Whenever you've got the most important part of your squad lacking, the earlier you can get that filled, the easier it is to then focus on the tertiary needs of the squad, those outliers, those, it would be nice to have this. It'd be nice to have that. We don't. I think if we didn't add anybody else to the squad after what's happened this past week, we'd be okay.
That would be
But
okay, but
right, that's what I'm saying. We would be okay.
yeah,
But
we need
with
more
with
players.
this with this word of ambition, this word that keeps coming up about Everton and what we want to do and what we want to get out of the squad this year and push forward to be ambitious, to be able to provide the level of what we're wanting to achieve. We do need to add some more supportive players to the squad. I don't think we need any more star, big, huge names, large amount signings, but we need people. We need more players because uh, Europa League, there's a lot of travel. League Cup is coming up quickly on top of Europa League with the season. The season starts with Arsenal and Chelsea in the first month. Um, that Chelsea match is looking really, really fun now. So yeah, but we've got that large chunk sorted.
Yeah, I mean, that's it now. And then, as you just said, you can sort of go off that. You can say now, well, who complements
Right.
Lukaku? Who do we need to complement? And then you can also look at. I mean, I think we need another couple of strikers. Whether he now looks and says, right, we can go back for Traore now. Whether that's a possibility on loan, because obviously we've got a permanent deal. So there's all these little things that you got to look for now, and things that will go fit in with the other squad. But maybe those players, they're different. Going to be different targets depending on who's going to be that number one striker. You know, you mentioned their numbers and we've obviously brought in another player as well. We brought in Mohamed Besic as well, who's one of the most seems to be one of the most projected signings. It was ongoing for like 3 weeks. Nothing really at Everton, and it was more to do with little tiny bits of red tape that held it up. But
Yeah. He was on vacation in Austria when we happened to be there, and
it wasn't sort of. I don't think there was a rush either. Roberto Martinez does things at his pace. Don't worry about that. But this guy's come in. A couple of million, rising to maybe 3 or 4 million. He's got a reputation. We've all heard about his reputation.
he's got a freaking brass knuckles tattoos on his forearm.
He's got a gun as well.
Yeah.
He's got a reputation. He's got a reputation of being. I'm not going to use the word hard man because I don't believe you. He's just got a reputation.
No, I mean, watch him in the World Cup. He's skilled. He's skilled.
Yeah.
But he doesn't back down. He's not going to get knocked off the ball. He's very much in the same grain as McCarthy. I think those two are very similar as far as mentality. Skill sets different, but mentality.
I'm not talking fully mentality. I think McCarthy's got a calmness over him and an experience of playing in the Premiership.
He's Irish. He's not Middle Eastern. He's not Eastern European.
He's a go-get. McCarthy knows how to control himself on the pitch. Let's be honest. But this kid, he's not a player who's brought into the World Cup squad to basically stop Messi. I mean, that's a high order and done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He's had a 98% pass rate in that game as well. He was identified by Martinez earlier than the World Cup, but I think the World Cup accelerated the process because he probably thought, well, this guy's going to be hot property in the next year, and I need to go and get him.
Yeah, and Bosnia not getting out of that group probably helped Martinez.
Yeah, and the fact that he was at a club in Hungary as well, which probably kept him under the radar a little bit as well. And so he went after. Now that's a very interesting signing because now if you look at it with the returning of Darren Gibson as well, Everton have got two different partnerships, but plenty of interlinking partnerships as well.
Sure.
And if you take that into Europe, you can have a partnership on a Thursday night and another partnership on the Sunday, and
Yeah, and
players that
Martinez mentioned, bringing half a squads
yeah.
away whenever we've got certain matches in the league, just 3 days later after Europa League. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and not only that, there's you can imagine games now where um, Everton can play three across the midfield and have Besic, McCarthy, and Barry in there, so that and be a lot more solid and have three real attacking forwards. We could have that now. We could have a three where it's McCarthy. McCarthy can be the focal point of the triangle and have Besic and Barry behind them, and we might see another side of McCarthy now where we start seeing his legs going forward, which didn't happen so much last season, but he can use that because he's got a lot of
Yeah,
pace when he's running with the ball. There's lots of different things. Roberto Martinez is a modern manager who understands that the game is controlled and won in the midfield. So he wants lots of players in there, and Besic can also play right back. He can play centre back again, and we might could see us playing three at the back, and he can slot in there as well. So many different things that this kid could be used for, and also because he has played in the Premiership and he's coming into it, and maybe he's got a different mentality and he's got to get used to the Premiership. He can be eased to it as well. There's no need for him to be rushed straight in there, and he hasn't found the pace. Therefore, he's kicking people or getting frustrated and getting silly yellow cards. Like we seen where Fellaini joined Everton, just couldn't catch the pace, and therefore he caught the player.
right.
He might be dipped in and out, might be used in Europe where he might be more effective because the pace might be a bit slower. That's ideal, absolutely ideal. And he's only young, he's only 21, 22, so he's got plenty of time ahead of him as well. So that's a really really good sign, and that's a really really good boost for the team, for the midfield, and for the squad. It's another good player, good solid player to go into the squad.
So 3 signings so far. It's not even August yet. Um, it's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I think that is where you'd want to be in terms of what kind of players you're buying as well. You've brought back two of your most influential players from last season,
Yeah,
and you've brought
absolutely.
in a new centre midfielder. And obviously we look at the side of things now. Obviously Roberto Martinez committed his future to Everton. We've had Seamus Coleman commit his future as well, and obviously Ross Barkley's now committed his future as well.
Yeah, 4-year deal for Barkley. Got bumped up to, I think he's on 65K a week now. That
I don't know.
report
I
sounds
don't
valid.
care.
Whatever. And he's
Yeah.
he's getting paid enough to where he's happy that he's playing for Everton.
But he loves playing for
Right.
Everton. It's clear he loves playing
Yeah.
for Everton.
The quotes about being gutted when Rooney left. I mean, it's just again, it's that ambitious, it's that ambition, the pride, the the the, the sense of hope and thinking, you know what, if we can keep a young English national player like Barkley and get him to realize that he can get better and be better and play in World Cups and wear the Everton shirt and he is excited about the possibility of doing that
Mm.
is a turn in the mentality of this club. I mean, it's probably been since early '80s that
Yeah.
we could sign a group of players or keep a group of young players together. We have the potential to keep the Lukakus, the Barkleys, the McCarthys, the Colemans together for at least 4 more years without having to really worry about it.
Yeah. I mean,
It's no longer the point where Everton is sitting around during transfer windows worrying about a bigger club coming in and cleaning house like what's happening at Southampton.
No, I mean, I don't know whether that would ever happen at Everton, just because I'm not sure whether the fans would let that sort
Yeah,
of
I
happen.
mean the
I mean, there
Southampton thing
are.
is very extreme. To lose your manager, to get a couple of your star players gone, and then I think there's been a big domino effect for them, which is really just weird and unfortunate. And no, I don't think it would ever happen, and I'd hope it would never happen to that extent at Everton. But there's no longer this fear that someone's going to come in and uh, you know put enough money in front of Baines that he's going to leave.
No, I think what you're saying is right, and I think Roberto Martinez has installed that. He's instilled that side of him where he's saying, well, I can keep a group. I mean, he's probably said. I mean, I don't know how much convincing Ross Barkley would have needed to sign a contract. He said none. But you can imagine him turning around saying, "Listen, I'm going to bring Lukaku here. I'm going to bring Lukaku, and we're going to have such a fantastic squad." And I suppose there is always that danger of losing a couple of players, or one player. I mean, who knows? Because you're always going to get bigger clubs coming in for your players, and it doesn't matter who you are. There's generally always someone bigger than you. We've seen that this summer, with Suarez leaving, and there's always someone. So there's always that chance. But what if you've got 10 good players and you lose one of them? Then that sometimes happens. You just got to keep the other 10. And what you're saying there about Everton not keeping a core of players since the 80s, you're very true, because basically that's what happened in the 80s for 2 or 3 years. We had a fantastic core, and then we started to lose players because of the European ban,
Right.
and we never got them back. And every time we tried to sort of solidify a squad, they started dripping away for one reason or another. When we won the FA Cup, we added Andre Kanchelskis, and then within a year we lost Andre Kanchelskis, and we replaced. We'll bring a player in like Gary Speed, and then within a year we're losing Gary Speed, and there was we could just never keep hold of the players long enough. We just couldn't do that. It just never seemed to happen. We could always seem to get good players. We just couldn't keep them together. You look at '95, 2-3 years after that, and we lost the majority of that team for one reason or another.
Right.
Promises not being fulfilled or whatever. But this time it does feel
Manager
like,
changes. Yeah.
yeah, this time it feels like, what, we are going to keep them together for the time being, rather than domino effect of losing one and then losing another one. We're going to keep them all for 3 or 4 years, and let's see what happens. I mean, it's unfortunate where it is actually sort of like the worst time in football, because everyone's got money and we're in the hardest league to try and break into the top four. It's mad. I think if we were in another league in Europe, we'd probably be challenging for the title. But it just happens that we're in the Premier League with the most money. It's the way it is. So but keeping people like Barkley, it just sends out a massive statement. We're not selling. We're keeping players. We're keeping our best players, and we're signing really good players now as well. And long may it continue. It's a really peak time for Everton.
Yeah, we're signing players. We're keeping our good players. We've got youth. I mean, we haven't even mentioned like John Stones or Ryan Ledson or Luke Garbutt or.
The thing about it now is it has to be fulfilled. Everton have to go win something. It's as simple as that. They've got to go and win something, whether that be an FA Cup, a League Cup, dare I say Europa League. Got to go and win something now, because we've seen rubbish teams win trophies. It does happen. It's not always about the big four or whatever you want to see it called. Teams have won, the League Cup and the FA Cup. It happens, and we've got to do that. We've got to go and win that first trophy and try and create some. Okay, not saying we can go and win the league, but it's not always about the league. There are other trophies to win, but it's about getting that first one, and then players getting a taste and wanting to, stick together and to go and get the next one, and that's what we've got to do.
Yeah, it feels like a foundation and a base has been set, and to build upon that, the silverware has to come. Once silverware comes, it's the limit is whatever we want it to be, and um, in stadiums and in marketing ability. But we have to get this first, since we don't have the influx of cash, we don't have the Middle Eastern oil money or the Russian oil money or just some crazy rich American that doesn't care about anything but just spends money. There's other ways that we have to go about to build this base, and this feels like job one, task one has been accomplished with the Barkley re-signing, the Martinez extension, the Coleman re-signing, Howard re-signing at the end of last season, just locking in these guys that are with the club long term, and then bringing Barry back, bringing in a Besic, bringing in a Lukaku, which still just blows my mind. The fact that he is an Everton player, he's not a Chelsea player on loan to Everton, is just amazing. But it feels like that was task one on Martinez's list of things to get accomplished whenever he came to Everton, and I think that he is very close if he has not been able to tick that box and say, "Yep, let's look at the next," and that next is silverware.
Definitely, I know
Well,
it's
you're very Robotnik now, Ped. I thought I heard it earlier. That's why I was trying to talk quite a bit right then. So um, maybe we'll take a little bit of a break and we'll be right back. So yeah, we need to look at getting you a new sound card or something, buddy, because I really think it, for the fact that it happens like on the hour every time. Maybe AppSec Services Limited could spring for one of those. You tired? You've been driving around a lot today?
yeah, not well.
Running around like crazy, man.
Yep. On the radio with Leon Osman.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Cool. He's a nice guy.
Starting to recognize you yet?
No.
He doesn't know your name? Not like a certain Roberto Martinez?
Yeah.
He's not your best friend yet, Ped?
No, unfortunately not.
Hank says you're more machine than man now.
I wish I was, to be honest.
Oh, man. Well, apologies, everybody. This is a known thing that we're trying to convince Ped that he needs a new sound card because his iMac.
I wouldn't even know how to get. I wouldn't even know how to get into my iMac. This sounds.
No. I don't think it needs to be internal. I think you need to just a new external sound card that's like a USB port or something, and plug it in, and.
Okay. I'll look into that.
So. Or FireWire or whatever. Keep talking.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, you're back to normal now.
Okay.
I forget what we were talking about or what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, like the next task on Martinez's to-do list, but we don't have to go into that much further. Let me clean this up a little bit, just make sure. Let's look at the next, and that next is silverware. Okay, so that's where we'll.
You can just edit that into the break, and then we can come back.
Sounds good. maybe we'll take a little bit of a break and we'll be right back. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're back on Follow-tonians. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Lukaku signing day show. So, Ped, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, I mean, I suppose we've just spoken about the team. I suppose we better talk about the team actually playing. It'd be a good start, wouldn't it?
Yeah, why not? The results so far in the preseason haven't been the greatest, but um, other than a slight hamstring from Coleman, uh, haven't been any injuries to report.
I'm not.
Um,
I mean, I'm not too concerned so far. I mean, a 2-2 draw against Tranmere and a 1-0 defeat in Thailand to Leicester. I'm not really too worried at all about those games. I mean, both games were training exercises. If you want to look from a footballing point of view, still missing the goalkeeper and Jagielka and Baines
Morales
and
and
Morales. From that point of view,
Kone.
of
Kone
course.
didn't travel.
So let's be honest, it's all about fitness at this point. I mean, the games have just been. I mean, I suppose what makes it easy is that the games have just been quite low profile. There's nothing big about them. There's just been,
Right.
they're not in America. There's no expectation. It's just there just seems to be very, very just plain friendlies. I think that's going to step up now. It's going to step up to the sort of the next level for some of those players. I mean, we've got Leon Osman's testimonial on Sunday, but let's not get too confused. It's a big game against Porto, a big test.
Sure.
When I say big game, you know what I'm saying. It's the step up. I think they've had they'll have a week, and there'll be a step up in the training and certain players being fit. It's a big occasion, for Leon Osman. It's a testimonial, but also the fact that we'll have Besic available to play. Lukaku could play some part. I'm not sure how much he will play, considering he's just come back off the break. Maybe he'll just be there to sort of wave to the crowd and make himself known. But looking forward to it. I hope there's a decent turnout for Leon Osman because I think he deserves it. I think he's been a fantastic servant forever and always pops up with vital goals.
Yep.
I was watching the review of last season, the other night, and some of the goals he scored last season, the second one against Villa and the goal he scored against Newcastle, the third one, just some of these goals that he popped up and scored and has done for years, and been a fantastic servant for the club. And I know it's a pre-season game and people are still on holiday and not everyone's going to travel. But I really do think that people hopefully can turn out for this one and show their appreciation. There's a little bit extra on it now because we have got those players signed.
Yeah, and proceeds from the testimonial are going to
Player House.
Claire House.
Yeah.
Any info on that for listeners that might not be aware?
You put me on the spot a little bit now. Looks after 6 children.
Okay.
Basically, so I mean,
kind of like and I mean, some people might know about Alder Hey, kind of similar type of organization.
Well, no, Alder Hay's like
the actual hospital.
That's a children's hospital, yeah. So
yeah,
it's
okay.
Slightly different, but no, I mean it's charity. It's not just that we've gone past the days now where a testimonial was sort of
a parachute for
a footballer's payday. Basically, now it's very much geared towards to helping out charities and making charities known and something like
very much philanthropic in nature and. Yeah.
So Clay House. I mean, it's for children. It's a children's hospice. It's very much service of children of Liverpool and Merseyside and things like that. So, it's something that I think Everton have done a lot of things with in the past, and it really does help kids and young adults and with various diseases and respite and those kind of things, which we don't like talking about too much, but they are obviously a reality. So anyway, the money that can be raised is another reason why people should turn out on Sunday and show your appreciation for Leon Osman, but also giving to charity as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, it'd be great to see Goodison packed. I mean, for that reason alone, it'd be great to see it packed. But to be able to come out and see Besic and Lukaku,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
is another good reason. And Clare House will just be a beneficiary of those signings, and that'll be really great.
Yeah, and plus, I mean,
Plus, it'll
getting
be great. It'll be a good game. I mean, I would imagine that we're gonna come out and really try to show the fans hopefully what to expect in the coming
yeah,
weeks.
it don't, yeah,
I mean, see, the season is two weeks plus a
yeah,
couple of days away from now,
yeah,
so it's
and
coming up quick.
and the other thing is people have been starved of football, so you're gonna get a
Yeah,
chance to go and watch Everton playing back at Goodison, and you know, it might sound stupid, but new kit and new badge, and seeing the ground spruced up with the new logos on the side, and all those little things that you miss or you don't realize you miss, and going
we
for a
didn't miss the logo from pint. We won't
no,
miss.
but just going for a pint and all these
How
little
good does
things. And,
the outline logo look on shirts and
uh,
the new badge
we'll,
and
we'll talk about the kit in a minute, but you know, just about that game. I mean, we've obviously got the Celta Vigo game as well in a week before we go to Germany to play Paderborn. I mean, Celta Vigo one's a strange, playing a home game, but it's not really a home game. It's more like a neutral game. It's at a neutral venue at Prenton Park, Tranmere. It's a strange one, but it'll be interesting, and I'm sure a lot of fans will get over there as well to watch, especially if Lukaku is involved in this one. I'm sure Prenton Park will be absolutely packed next Wednesday, and
yeah.
again, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm hoping to get over for that one. So again, it'll be another step because once you've got that one out the way and you've got Palmo, and a week after that the season starts. It's absolutely incredible. So it's
Yeah,
not long at all now. Till we all kick off, and as you mentioned, these couple of games are coming up. This will be the return of Jags and Baines and Morales. This is
and
when those
Howard
players,
and yeah,
yeah, this is when these players are starting to return now. So this is now the kick on. This is where we look to kick on now for the new season.
it's getting pretty exciting very quick.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, uh, are we in for more signings?
I mean, as I mentioned before, it's all going to come down to, I do think he wants 3 or 4 more. It's just whether he can get them for what he wants, and whether maybe a couple more loan deals in there just to fill the space up. Don't forget, you've got Darren Gibson coming back. You've got, Oviedo missed the second half of the season. You've got Kone missed the whole of the season.
Yeah,
You've got Tony Hibbert's fit. Whether
hopefully
people,
Pinar is healthy.
Pinar's back as well. There's kids now on the edge of the squad as well. There are
Yep.
more players. I mean, I know we all love to have new players, but there are other players bouncing around that will fill that squad out.
Yeah, McElhaney got time down in Thailand and has seemed to improve and
Yeah, there's players on
so
the verge of the squad who, might get a sniffy in there next season that wouldn't have last season. They're a year older, they're a year stronger, they're a year faster, and that's what it's all about. These players now will be competing on the edge of the squad with some of the senior players. You've also got the likes, you've got McGeady as well, who'll be going through a proper pre-season, and
yep.
we'll hope to see the best of him this season as well. Don't forget, we weren't really supposed to see the best of him, any of him last season. We were supposed to bring him in the summer, so we'll see more out of him as well. And the squad just looks a little bit fresher, looks a little bit bigger. But it would be nice to get a couple more in just to give a little bit more quality.
Yeah, I think we've covered quite a bit. I'm still kind of just in shock on cloud 10 now.
Well,
Um,
you mentioned at the beginning of the show you wanted to get a shirt with a certain player's name and number on. Would that number be number 10, and would that player be Lukaku?
I think it has to be. I said I've tweeted out many times that I was mad at Lukaku for knocking the U.S. out of the World Cup with his goal in added time or in extra time I mean, what a great goal,
Mm.
um, in one touch finish there to knock U.S. out. But I said the only way that I would forgive him is if he came and signed for Everton. So
Mm.
all things have been forgiven for knocking the U.S. out as far as I'm concerned. But I really like the new shirts.
Mm.
I'm not sure. I'm torn between the home or the away, and or maybe do I wait and see what the third alternate shirt looks like. Um,
Well, the
but
home one, I mean, the home one, seeing it up close is fantastic.
yeah,
Uh, the blue shorts, I think, look fantastic on it.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Whenever we were playing Leicester City, with the all blue with the navy socks looked
Tramp
really
against
smart.
Tranmere.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Tranmere, that looked
yeah,
really smart,
yeah.
really smart.
Yeah, and the black one looks smart as well. And I don't know if people have noticed, but you can actually get Everton numbers now for them, which will be for the Europa games, and they look really, really smart as well. And you can obviously get the Europa League patches and things like that as well. But I think
Oh,
both kits look really good. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the third one is, and the training gear looks quite good. And we've seen the purple training gear, which I think we're all hoping comes out as well. And
yeah,
just a lot nicer. It's a lot more. It's a lot more. It's a lot more to our taste. It's very much designed around Everton, and I know there's been criticisms of the availability of some sizes and socks. I just don't think the club realised how popular it was going to be once you could get all the sizes, and the fact that it is such a really nice kit. And obviously there's a feel good factor as well, where people do want to go out and buy new kits as well. So I'm hoping that that'll be rectified and you can go and buy whatever you want. And but it
it
just
yeah.
really looks all nice. It looks really good, really
It
smart.
just feels right having it be an Umbro
Yeah.
made shirt, and uh, the
Mm.
fact that it's just an outline and it goes on any color and looks just really great.
Mm.
Um, Very simple, but the details in it is wonderful.
Yeah.
Um,
It just
and,
looks real. It looks really good on all the kits. It hasn't got any stupid yellow white outlines. It hasn't got anything on the inside.
yeah,
It's very simple. All the badges are embroidered on all the gear as well. So if you just buy
it's not
a
a
t
patch.
yeah, if you buy a t-shirt, it's embroidered. You buy a pair of shorts, it's embroidered. It's all really good stuff. Whether that be kids or adults or wherever, it's all really
Or
good. Uh,
ladies.
all ladies as well, of course. It's all out there to buy, and they've done a really good job on Bro. And I've been very fortunate. I've mentioned this before. I've been able to go out and speak to the guys from Umbro, and they're so passionate about what they do and about the brand that is Everton, and they're really sort of trying to look after us and make the most of it, and sort of we're number one on their list. So it's fantastic, and I can't wait to see what happens next, and the different items, and the way the
Where'd you go, Ped? Looks like we may have lost Ped all of a sudden. Um, yeah, that's unfortunate. He was on a roll there about the kit. I love it. Definitely am going to have to pick up one. The Lukaku 10 is on my list. Um, but yeah, all right. Well, I don't know what to add here. We're about to wrap it up, and Ped's gone. I guess I'll wait until he comes back. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Twitter's just been going nuts the past couple of days, uh, and big thanks to Ped and his contacts on the ground there for getting us as much info as possible. Me being here in the middle of the United States, very much disconnected from minute to minute what's going on. So he is the man on the street with the info that between Follow-tonians here and the footy show that he does, and now Toffee One TV, uh, Toffee TV. He's definitely got it going. So uh, big thanks everybody for listening, tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Come on, you Blues, let's go.